we'll see what happens this week. I mean,
Yes.
it's going to be fun. And I asked you before we started, I want to bring up, it's not just 6 baseball games this week.
Yeah. The community aspect,
this is
the
a great
promotions.
promotional week
Yes.
coming up. The usual U.S. Foods Family Feast Night on Tuesdays, where you get what now is called a value menu, number of
Right.
items, $5 or less.
Yep.
Wednesdays, Paws and Claws Night, presented by Law's Country Kennels. You can
Always
bring a
love
pet
seeing
to
the
the ballpark.
You're seeing the adorable dogs walking around. I saw a cat at one
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Did not feel like walking around very much. It was not in the same energetic spirit that most of the dogs were, but you know what? You can bring the cat out.
Thursdays. Initially started in the Midwest League by the Lansing Lugnuts several years ago, but every team is caught on now. In fact, I remember several years ago, the Iowa teams were the last teams to join the party, having their Thursday
Interesting.
on Thursdays.
Yeah.
But you get your largest weeknight crowd, sometimes your noisiest and most exuberant, that's the term I want to use,
Yep.
exuberant crowd here on Thursday nights. And
Yep.
then this weekend, to close out the weekend, Friday night, Manzana's Luchadores Hispanic Heritage Night.
Yep.
There will be
Those are always fun.
special jerseys worn by the Tin Caps that night.
Yep. New logos they've got
And
using.
in case you're wondering, Manzana's Luchadores, the translation is fighting apples.
It's fitting. I like it.
And in fact, do another shameless plug. First
Go for it.
1,000 fans that come into the ballpark Friday night would get a rally towel, a giveaway towel there. And then another night that is probably nearest and dearest to Brenda Gibson from our staff in the front office. It will be Fort Wayne Daisies nights. And
That's such a cool event that they've got going on.
One of the things that Brenda does year in and year out, tries to contact surviving members that are still with us that played either with the Daisies or against the Daisies.
Yes.
And
The All-American
they get
Girls Professional
honored
Baseball League.
before the game, and that'll be Saturday night.
Yes.
There also will be fireworks, I believe, on Friday and Saturday this week.
There we go. We're getting that fireworks
And we're gonna
schedule
get the
back up.
post-game
Yep.
Fireworks going.
Yep.
And then, of course, Sunday, once the game has been completed, the team comes back out into right center field, and they will sign post-game autographs courtesy of Midwest Box Breaks. So, again, we talk about the baseball, and you and I, Drew, are diehards.
Oh yeah.
Care greatly about what happens as we
Between
like
the
to say,
lines.
between the white
Uh-huh.
lines.
Yep.
But we know that not everyone is really totally in sync with the game itself. There's a lot of off-the-field activities.
Oh, you get a lot of fans who just come for the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere is its own aspect of game day.
And there's going to be a lot of opportunities this coming week to enjoy some of those other things, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's just this week. Tin Caps are home not this week, but next week.
Back-to-back home
We'll
series,
talk
yes.
more about the second homestand next week when
Yeah.
Cedar Rapids comes to town. But
Getting a team from the
This-
West, another one.
go back to baseball for a moment.
Yeah.
The chance to play 12 games at home in a 13-day stretch against two of the top 3 teams record-wise in the Midwest League. It is an opportunity for the Tin Caps to, as I like to say on occasion, make some hay,
Yeah.
do some damage, kick some butt, whatever term you want to use, but it's a chance for the team to really blend in and meld together as they've done for the last couple of weeks especially,
Yeah.
and to make an impact on how the standings could eventually finish up
I was
in the
gonna
first
say,
half in this Midwest League.
These games can be so important at the first half standings, which the first half standings will lock up one team as a playoff team regardless of how the second half goes. So these early games do have significant impact, and especially when you're playing two great teams like these.
And another thing that I've been thinking about all weekend, with the completion of play on Sunday, we are at the halfway point in the first half, or the quarter-mile mark
Yeah.
for the entire season of the
Wow.
Midwest League. 33 games in.
Yeah.
Each half is comprised of 66 games in the Midwest League, totaling 132. Already a quarter of the games have been played.
That's interesting.
And so now, this is the push, if you will.
I know. It still feels early in the season, but yeah.
In a way, and again, you're getting to know me, Drew. I have some familiar faces.
I'll take it.
In a sense, it is stretch time here at Parkview Field this week. We're going in a seventh inning stretch of the first half of the season. And the Tin Caps, with 12 games in a row at home, combined this week and next week, really have the opportunity to make a statement.
Yes.
And show everyone else, not just in the Eastern Division, but in the entire Midwest League, what they're made of.
Yeah.
And
to establish themselves as contenders.
And the goal is to have the other teams look up to Fort Wayne. And so that's the fun part of baseball.
Oh yeah.
Playing the games, developing the players, sharpening the tools in terms of coaching and managing and so forth, and yet having the chance for the fans to come out to what I always call the Taj Mahal of minor league baseball and have and enjoy some family fun entertainment. And we get to do it not this week, but next week as well.
Yeah. And so as we walk into that kind of home stretch here, our stretch, we can talk about, we've already mentioned it, these sort of players of the week that are coming to Parkview Field. We've got Leo DeVries repping the Tin Caps. We've got Max Clark repping the White Caps. That's going to bring us to our question of the week, which is not necessarily who's going to out-hit the other, but between the two of these potential big leaguers, how many hits are we going to see them rack up in their 6 games or possibly less here at Parkview Field?
Yeah, as a rule, Leo DeVries has sat one of the 6 games out in each series.
He'll play about 5 games a week, yeah.
So if we go the assumption that he's going to play 5 of the 6, we're not sure. I know Max Clark sat out at least one of the games against Lansing last week. Let's just say he sits out a game.
Yeah.
So now between the two of them, you've got 10 games.
Yes.
And the average game, you come to bat 3 to 4 times on the average.
Yeah.
Let's just go high and say 4 times a game. So you got 2 players combined to play 10 games, and let's say they have 40 official at-bats.
Yeah, the math works out.
Now that the table has been set, so to speak,
right,
it's time to guess between those 2 players how many total hits will they accrue this week here in Fort Wayne.
Yeah, I think the number we talked about setting on, because if we're going to assume 1 hit per game, that would put it at 10, I believe is how the math works. These are 2 players that are hitting above 300 throughout this minor league season, so we can probably assume more than 1 hit in at least one of those games. So I think the number we've settled at is over under about 13.
Yeah, I think 13's the number.
Yeah.
And we'll see how lucky we are this week. We haven't always had the best of luck in our projections, but it's going to be fun to see. Yeah. Because in all honesty, knock on wood for Micah, whatever.
I'll use the noggin here.
Of course, my noggin has nothing in it, but
you never know.
If these players continue to develop and they stay healthy, and maybe one of these weeks we can talk about the health issues with these teams. But you can project potentially to have both Max Clark and Leo DeVries in a major league uniform. If not the 2026 season, I can certainly see possibly the 2027 campaign. Yeah. For both of them.
Yeah, because I think by 26, we should expect probably both of them are in AA, possibly moving up at that point. Yeah, because if we assume, if we're assuming that DeVries has moved up to AA at some point this season, and Clark is as well, they could start the year at AAA, but with both of them being so young, I think maybe they start the year at AA, move to AAA sometime in that following season. So yeah, that timeline, I'd say 2027 is definitely a very realistic date.
Yeah, a possibility of late season call up in 26.
Right.
But 2027, I can see them both competing for a starting position with their respective teams.
Yeah.
But
it'll be fun to follow as we look.
Again, that's why we encourage all of you. Come on out, and both of us have mentioned you never know how long a player is going to be in a particular city. So you know that you can tell your kids or your grandkids or your neighbors or whatever, hey, I saw so-and-so who now is in the major leagues
Right.
when he played at Parkview Field.
Yep.
So that's why we encourage you to come on out. One of the many
Oh, yeah.
reasons for coming out.
We've got a ton of names out on the wall just outside of the gates on Parkview Field, just showing all of these guys who have made their big league debut, and then more and more keep getting added because we keep having debuts.
At last report, I thought the number was 232.
That's it?
Just 232
Yeah, just 200
players.
Yes. Now that,
over 30
what a number.
stretch.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it'll be fun to follow.
Yeah.
We'll be following that obviously years down the line, but of course in the immediate days, this series we're focused on West Michigan, and we'll be back here somewhere else in Parkview Field sometime next week. So Mike, thanks for joining me. Mike, did you have something else?
no, I'm
Okay.
Let's play ball and have fun.
That's always a good way to look at it. All right, we got Mike Moz. I'm Drew Fry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.